All right, so this is episode 3 of whatever, and this time round we're actually going to be talking about something that is, again, another bunch of questions that tend to get asked a lot, and that's about the subject of education. So, do you need to go on a course? Do you need to pay X amounts of thousands of dollars or lakhs of rupees or thousands of pounds or whatever on visual effects courses wherever you are in the world, or can you self-teach? Can you teach yourself? Can you source the material out? That kind of thing. So now I have opinions about this personally. They're not necessarily they're gonna rub some people up the right way. They're gonna rub some people up the wrong way. That's for sure. So I'm not really going to go too much into it, to be frank, and my justification, to a degree. Now, I'm gonna approach this from two particular standpoints. One is basically going to be from a artist standpoint, and the other one is going to be from an employer standpoint. Now, from the employer standpoint, it's twofold. Firstly, having a qualification justifies the fact that you've actually gone through a testing phase in your education. Somebody has basically graded you, and you are past a specific threshold of experience and knowledge in a particular subject, and that's in essence what a qualification is. It's basically an assessment. Somebody with greater experience than you has said, yes, you have reached this particular threshold, you have reached this particular level, and therefore this is your certificate to say the same. That is basically a qualification. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. That particular qualification can open up specific doors, like if you're looking to work overseas. So, for example, like, if you're here in India, for example, and you want to go and work in the US or the UK, there are prerequisites that you actually need to have a degree or a doctorate or a PhD or a master's or something, whatever it may be, which will help you gain entry into the country to work for a specific company, or any particular company for that matter, whether or not you're in this field or another field, because that says you're skilled. You're a skilled worker, and therefore desirable, especially in some countries where they're starting a point system, for example, like Australia do it. The UK is starting to do it now after this Brexit malarkey. So that sort of thing will be beneficial for an individual looking to gain experience. Sorry, I apologize for any noise you might hear here. It's basically there's some stuff going on outside. Having no particular qualification in this, obviously in these particular sorts of scenarios, means that you have to gain industry experience and what's the word? Testimonials. That's the word. Testimonials in from your peers to say that you are awesome, you are great at what you do, and therefore you should be let into the country to do that particular type of work. So, testimonials, they also work. I've written testimonials for my guys who have previously left us and have gone to work here in the US, gone to work in Canada, gone to work in China, gone to work in Korea, gone to work in Japan, and so on, and Australia and New Zealand. And while they don't necessarily have like a degree level qualification, they have some form of certification from an institution here. Whether or not that's helped or hindered them, I genuinely don't know. So, though that kind of standpoint, it does help a fair amount. Now, when it comes to actually physically learning the material, when you're actually a student and you're actually physically there, you've got to bear a couple of things in mind. First thing is that, and I say this from experience, and firstly as a former student, but not in this field. I never studied this. I studied engineering IT, in fact, which I can't barely remember. From another standpoint, which is basically a former external examiner. So I was an external examiner for a couple of universities in the UK. So myself and a bunch of other people recommended and advised on course structures, and we also went in and we assessed the lecturer's grading. So we would basically say, yep, that grading looks accurate, or no, that grading doesn't look accurate, go back again. This is a valid A, this is a valid B, this is a valid C. So we go through and we'd assess every single student. So we'd assess the assessments of every single student. So these are the kind of things, how these things work. So the thing is, with regards to courses, that they're designed and then the student will go through it. They don't adapt as the years progress. So for example, if you're like in your third year, you're in a course structure and syllabus that has been designed two to 3 years ago. Okay, so it's not really adapting year upon year. So if you go into the third year, you're basically going into the third year of what was designed about 3 years back. So it may be slightly out of date. New technology, new techniques have come along. The industry itself is forever fast changing. So you may actually be slightly behind the times. That's not to say that some institutions may continuously update for the following year. That might happen. In personal experience, I haven't seen it. But then I've not done assessment for 12 years now, I think. So things may have changed considerably in my absence. But check is my best advice. Check. When it comes to actually being there as a student, you have to basically take into consideration what is actually going on. Case in point, you're being taught, in essence, how to utilize something and how to operate it and how things interact with each other, kind of thing. So going back to the car analogy that I used in the last video, you're being taught where the steering wheel is. You're being taught what the gears are. You're being taught what the pedals are, and so on and so on. In essence, you can doing an assessment at a university or any college or any further education place is basically teaching the basics of how not to die on the road. That's in essence what it's akin to. Future use, case in point, being able to judge whether or not that guy's going to pull out the street, and having that anticipation and that knowledge is basically just through experience, and that's practice. Now, an institution will teach you these things akin to finding out that information yourself, but you're gonna be in a facility, you're gonna be in a place where it's a lot better funded than what you are personally. So you're gonna have access to educational resources like systems, possibly a render farm, lecturers who hopefully know what they're talking about and can basically answer your questions if you get stuck on something, instead of you having to look for things and research things yourself. You're going to be able to bounce ideas off your peers, so other students who are going through the course as well and are facing the same challenges and tribulations as you. So you can obviously put your heads together and figure out a solution. And also, two heads are better than one. You can produce an awesome piece of work together. You can collaborate from multiple departments. You and other individuals can obviously put together a better piece of work than for your portfolios and for your final year projects and so on, that you could better than what you could do just on your own, unless you are flipping amazing and you can do everything yourself within that time frame, which very, very, very few people have the ability to do. So collaborate and work together. That's not to say that you can't do that outside of an educational institution. It's just a little bit more difficult. Yes, you save yourself a ton of money. Yes, you will actually have to look up a lot of this stuff yourself, but the community itself is very, very big and pretty helpful. You do get some characters out there, and in my time I've known quite a few. I've been one myself, I must admit. But at the end of the day, people will help you without any shadow of a doubt. People will assist you to actually, if you want to learn, people will help you, but they're not going to hold your hand. They will not move your hand to paint the line and to draw the face. You will have to figure it out how to do it yourself. Trial and error, success and failure. People will give you comments. Sometimes it's constructive criticism. Sometimes it's just plain, that's terrible, you're awful. And again, I've had that comments and those criticisms personally. Even in the work that we've done as a studio, some randoms have come up and go, "Oh, your work's terrible." It's like, cheers for that. Why? Why is it? Why is it terrible? Why is it awful? Give me, in your vast experience of what, your time spent in the industry, why is it that bad? And then they just disappear into the ethos. So you will get these sorts of individuals. Everyone's got an opinion. Yeah, it happens. Don't worry about it. But the main difference between an educational institution and studying it and finding all information out yourself and self-teaching is that you have to be very, very self-motivated to be able to find all this information out yourself. Just because you go to an institution and you basically just pay the money does not necessarily mean you're going to get a qualification out the box. You have to work for it, yeah, but you will be fed the information, and the structure and the course has been designed to get for you to get the most out of it and for you to progress as efficiently as possible at that particular point in time. By the time you graduate, possibly those methods have changed or they've adapted in some way, but you're going to be spoon-fed a bit as you progress. Now, this isn't to say that you don't still need to self-motivate and self-develop, because if you don't, you will literally be exactly the same as the guy or girl sitting next to you. Your show reels will be identical, your portfolios will be the same, and if you are fighting for both of you for the same job, what makes you better than that other person? So you have to stand out, you have to self-develop. It's just like I said, learning to drive. You know the basics not to die on the road. So the rest is experience. You can teach yourself to drive. It's easier to get an instructor to tell you, do this, don't do this, or someone with experience to teach you in some way, shape or form. Whether or not that's a professional driving instruction company, school, whatever, or, Uncle John, who's, been driving for 30 years. So it pays your money, takes choice, to be frank. It's really, to be honest, down to you, whether or not you have that drive and that self-motivation to be able to push yourself forward. Like I said previously, I have no formal qualification in visual effects whatsoever. I have done no certification. I have done no courses. I have taken nothing to do with this in any way because I was interested in this. I bought a book back in 1993, 94, something like that, and I read that thing was this thick. It's like I call this was my Bible. Seriously, this thing was absolutely amazing. The way it taught, the way it's structured, it was not just do this, do this, do this, do this, but it was do this because, do this because, do this, and so on. And the reason for that, and it had that connection in my brain that I could understand what I was doing and why I was doing it. More to the point, why I was doing something. So if you can grasp that, if you can understand these things, if the tutorials and the YouTube videos, again, kids these days, seriously, you guys have got literally everything on a plate. You can find out anything within a heartbeat. Back when I was starting out, we did not have YouTube. We didn't have video tutorials and screenshot stuff. We had some, but it was mostly videos or DVDs that people have put out. People like Chris Thomas put out a massive set for Max. Jason Busby, amazing guy, gone too soon, bless him, seriously. Absolutely amazing. That fella put everything out for free. And that was unheard of. He mailed out DVDs to people around the world for free. Absolutely astounding. This was like 1999 going into like 2004, about 2003, 2004 sort of thing, kind of thing. And then you had other guys like Ted Boardman, who were they do a lot of writing, and they would do a lot of video tutorials, a lot of video presentations, very professionally structured, very professionally done. And then there was Muppets like me who basically write articles for magazines. And then we started getting into video tutorials, and myself, I wrote, a few books on 3ds Max back in the day. I think the first one I did was like 2004 or something. And I did some video tutorials along with that. They're on my channel, some of the old ones, if anyone wants to check them out. They still are valid. They still work in Max. But if you're... the mental ray settings obviously don't work anymore because mental ray has been pulled from 3ds Max. So thanks Autodesk. That's a whole different video. So you do have the ability to teach yourself, provided you have the energy, time and drive to be able to do it, because there's going to be no one sitting over your shoulder waiting for you to be assessed or assessing you in any way, shape or form. There's no one going to be tapping you saying, delivery on Friday, you have to get this thing done. It has to be about yourself. You're setting yourself targets and schedules. Okay? This is the toughest thing, because, and this you will find throughout your entire careers, is that art, and just like there's a phrase in the industry, a film is never finished, it's only released. It's the same deal with art. You never finish it, because you could always mess around with it, and you'll look at it maybe 6 months later and go, oh my God, that was awful, I'm going to tackle it again. No, it's just that your ability to self-assess is improved. I will go through that entire thing in a new video in the future, about grading, assessment, self-motivation and all that kind of stuff, and how you judge yourself and assess yourself and that kind of stuff. So that's a whole video. Maybe the next one, maybe the few after that or something. But I'm not doing one Christmas Day, otherwise I'll get, family will kill me. So to close off, yes, you do have the ability to teach yourself. You and only you can determine whether or not you need that help to learn and to develop. If you have the ability to self-motivate, find out information, if you have resources to hand, systems, software, talent that you can call on, a pool of information and a wealth of resources you can call on when you do get stuck. If you're a member of a forum, if you're friends of people who work in the industry, if you are knowledgeable in some areas but not in other areas, you can basically share information or work with a team of other artists to produce a short film or something. So all of these will help you self-motivate and drive and get you to where you want to be. It may take you longer than going on a course, obviously, but it's going to be quicker. It's going to be it's going to be slower. It's going to be slower than going on a course, because the course will basically have a quick, fast structure to get you to the finish line within X amount of weeks, months, or years. It's obviously going to be cheaper because it's not going to cost you, unless you're in a country which has free education, which at the time mine did. So thanks British education, and I can't remember a thing about it. So going on a course, again, that is also awesome, provided you have done the research and you've actually made sure that that is the course for you, because you don't want to be chopping and changing. You want to check the institution, check the forums, see what people think about it. Some people will have gripes against specific lecturers or specific schools because of their own personal experience, their own opinions about this thing. But, take that with a pinch of salt, look past it, and take a broad scope. If everybody's saying that it's bad, then chances are it's bad. But if one or two people are having a grudge against it, chances are it's because they have some issue themselves personally, not necessarily that's a larger reflection of what the place is like. So that's definitely down one route that you could go. There is another reason why courses are useful, okay, and that is for the hiring process of a studio. And personally, now, how can I put this politically correctly? HR in a lot of companies, I'm not saying every company, but a lot of companies don't know what they're looking for. Simple as that. They're not artists, they're not animators, they're not visual effects supervisors. They literally are, human resources staff. Okay, that's what they deal with. So those show reels need to get, or those applications need to get to and be filtered down to the next stage. Okay, they need to be filtered down to the next stage so that they are put in front of supervisors. And supervisors' time is expensive. It is. It's a fact. They are more expensive than HR staff, to be honest. And what that means is basically there is a filtering process, and that filtering process is, if you don't have a specific qualification, you're not going to get to that next stage. You'll get filtered out. Simple as that. Or you don't have a certain amount of experience, you're going to get filtered out. So it's in essence because of volume, or the size of the studio, or the staff that are operating the HR department. They're not going to know what to look for, whether or not an animation is good or bad, the rigging is great, or if the modeling is great, or if it sucks. They won't know what to look for. The supervisor will, but the supervisor will not have time to go through every single piece of every single application. They won't have time to. You get 200 a day. You got to spend, let's say, 15 minutes going through each and every single one. That's way over your day. It's not physically possible to go through every single one in a day. So they filter it out and say, here's 10. Here's 20. Maybe you spend 5 minutes on it. Show reels, again, I will go through an entire video on show reels and job applications and all that kind of stuff. But just in a nutshell, show reels, they will view 15 seconds of it. That's it, the first 15 seconds. And if your first 15 seconds is terrible, it will go in the bin. You won't even get a response. You'll get no response. They don't have to reply to you. They won't, because they've got so many to go through. So having a qualification gets you over that initial filtering process and gets you into the front door, unless you have a fair amount of experience in the first place. That's it. Or you know someone on the inside. That's another video. The other alternative is you basically go through a recruiter, an agency, someone who can basically put you forward, who's already vetted everybody, and who is basically going through and checking all the applications for a particular studio. In essence, they're in essence a supervisor for a studio's recruitment process, without actually tapping the actual supervisor at the studio's end. Okay, so that will also get you through the door. Anyway, like I said, that's a whole new video. I'll go through that in detail later on. So to close, I think I said to close earlier, but anyway, qualifications do help. They help to apply for jobs in other countries. They help to get you in the front door, or to leapfrog applicants who don't, in studios which have lots of applications and a relatively small HR team, or a HR team who aren't experienced artists, who aren't going to watch every single application that comes through, every single show reel that comes through. So it's to separate the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. On the flip side, you have to be totally self-motivated. You have to be self-motivated, in as well as actually being told this information and instructed how to utilize this information. And I'm going to be honest, and this is the honesty part. If I had two show reels, one which has come from an institute, a student from an institution, and one which has come from someone who's been 100% self-taught, and they are both identical, I will choose, and this is me personally, and this is why I'm saying that, you know, some people are going to be pissed at me for saying this, but this is it. I will choose the person who is self-taught every time. And there's a simple reason for that. And that reason is that person has a passion for doing this. They have a passion for the art. They are self-driven. They want to succeed. They have got to that standard off their own back, and they've struggled, and they've done all the research themselves. And that shows determination and a drive to progress and to be better, to better themselves. They are the people who will progress faster within a studio than those people who don't have that drive. Whether you can go on a course and have that drive. I'm not saying that in any way, shape or form. I totally understand that a lot of people are, but in personal experience, I have seen people who have gone into this industry and they have just been spoon-fed information, got a job, and then they just sit at the same level. The drive is not there. Taking the salary home is the drive. But the drive to progress within the company, to better themselves, to get better at what they do, that's not there. And those people really don't last very long. You know, they'll realize that it's not for them. They'll last maybe a year, maybe 2 years, and then they'll realize, I'm not interested in this. I don't want to do this. They'll go and do something else, whatever it may be. But those people who do have that passion, whether or not you are on a vocational course or a degree course, or whether or not you've taught yourself, they are the people who will progress within the industry, and they're the people whose, you know, names will be in the top side of the credits later on in their careers. So, most important thing, above all, is that you enjoy it, because it's art. Whether or not you're teaching yourself or you're on a vocational or a, like I say, a certified course, the most important thing is that you enjoy doing what you're doing, that you feel like you are being challenged, you are educating yourself, or someone else is educating you, but you are also self-motivating and self-driving and pushing yourself forward, and you're being challenged artistically and mentally, because that's how you progress. That is how you will progress. If you're just going through the motions and you're repeating and it's not sitting in, then you won't get far. Simple as that. You won't get far. Pick something else, because this ain't for you, because obviously you're not interested. Simple as that. Right, I think that's about it. I don't know exactly how long I've talked for. Quite a long time, I dare say. Yes, I did press the record button. Thank God for that. Otherwise, there'd be, 28 minutes. Okay, right, I'll sign off here. Have fun. Take care. Be good. Stay safe. Wear a mask.